city never sleeps, and neither do the dreamers who build its pulse. From every corner of the globe they come. Visionaries, creators, leaders, each carrying a spark ready to ignite the world. This is not an event. It's a revolution of rhythm and reason. A symphony of minds. A movement of momentum. Seafood on fire. Land salad. Jose Escobar. Together they set the stage for brilliance. This is the NYC Experience. Mastermind, light up the city. They coming from the east, coming from the west. Knowledge on deck, put the truth to the test. Leaders in motion, hearts in sync, dropping wisdom so deep it'll make you think. They bring stories, sweat and flame, different faces, one shared name. Elevation, that's the sound. NYC Experience Mastermind, where purpose is found.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday.
Yeah. What's up, Jose?
I've been here the whole time.
All right. Well, it's always, it's like a magic show. I love it. It's always good to see you, sir. Good to see you.
Likewise.
Gentlemen, today is a really incredible show because not only because we have an incredible guest coming on, but because of the topic, I believe, beyond the ticket. I am so excited for this. So let's not waste any time, and let's go ahead and bring our incredible guest, Dr. Fred. Good morning, Dr. Fred.
Good morning. Good morning. Oh, we got a fourth member here. Check this out. Welcome, Jose. So nice to see you, sir.
I'm sorry, you're the fourth member. You just joined. I'm just
That's
kidding.
true. You're the three who were here before me, but for me, you're the fourth one of the little foursquare here. So yeah.
Yes.
Good to see you, Dr. Fred. Always good to see you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, all proud members of the CLA, right?
Yes.
Indeed.
Beyond the ticket, what does that mean? And who wants to take a stab at that, if you will?
Woo.
Well, since Lancelot's thinking, I might as well just throw it out. My immediate thought is the purchase of the ticket is to go to an event, which is what we're doing, the NYC Mastermind Experience. The purchase of the ticket is not the highest point of the interaction or the experience. It is the entry point. It is the first step to positioning yourself to win, to get into the game, right? Prior to that, you might be on the sidelines. You might have a water bottle in your hand ready to bring it to the players. You might have whatever the case is, right? You are just thinking and considering. But once you buy the ticket, it's beyond the ticket. What actually is what creates transformation and what happens, because that's what gets you in the room. That's the no ticket, no laundry philosophy. Once you have the ticket, you get your laundry, you get in there, you show up, there's results, things can happen. You are now positioned and poised to win once you get the ticket. So I think that's just the first step of all the possibilities that can come from getting yourself into the right room.
I'd like to expound on that. First and foremost, say that I didn't speak because I actually didn't know what to say, and I've always been taught if you don't know what to say, listen, and then it'll figure itself out. But beyond the ticket would be for me, all right, you've purchased the ticket. Now, what is the next step and what is the plan in going to that event? If we're speaking about the New York City Experience specifically, I would be planning on how was I going to attack the event. I would first and foremost look at some of the people who are going to be at that event. Who do I want to spend my time introducing myself with? You know, knowing the roster, so to speak, and then understanding what my role is in this, what I'm bringing to the table, but also what I'm trying to get out of the event. So those are the things, once you purchase this ticket, that you should be thinking about, especially those that are coming to the New York City Experience in Atlanta, Georgia, great that you have the ticket, but now what am I going to do? How am I going to get the best experience possible out of this incredible event? And that starts with doing your research on who's going to be there, what do they do, and if I'm interested enough to be able to put the work in to get to know that person, because it's about connecting. And that's what this event is about. It's not about networking. It's about connecting with like-minded people in a real way.
That's really good, Lancelot. Look at that. You just right there off the cuff.
But I needed you to start it off.
This event will be an expense or an investment based on what you do beyond the ticket. How about that?
I like that.
What are your thoughts, Dr. Fred?
Yeah, first of all, what an honor to sit on the back end of that 1-2 punch. I feel, speaking a little bit about the, about baseball, where I just last night, late last night, finished my Substack, which one could say is about baseball, but it really isn't. But the backdrop was a game I went to on Sunday. There's something about being the third hitter. There's something about being the third hitter that allows for a position. I'm the third brother of a family of 3 brothers, and I had 2 older brothers, 10 and 14 years older than me. And the ticket, the ticket that we're talking about here, you both have said something about purchasing a ticket. And in my world, it's obtaining a ticket. It doesn't have to have cost anything to actually get a ticket. And in this case, there is a little purchase, perhaps, as we talk about the NYC Experience. But what I'm really noticing is that once I make a decision, once I say boots on the ground, once I say stake in the sand, I have a ticket. I am a ticket. That is when the event starts. At that point, until I bought that ticket to Hawaii, I was only someday going to Hawaii. And now I buy the ticket. I'm in. I'm buying. I'm there. I'm ready to go. I've not only just been set up, I have declared myself a future that I didn't have before I bought the ticket, some sort of possible future. But I love this idea without minimizing the notion of buying a ticket. It's not like, okay, so what? Now you have a ticket. What are you going to do with it? It's like having that ticket, making a decision to cross that barrier and go get that ticket one way or another actually does change lives, because it does set us up to do whatever on the other side of having that ticket, whatever gift we've been given by the implications of owning the ticket, we get to live into. And in this case, I'm a newbie to this idea of the NYC Experience in Atlanta. And that whole idea is kind of hard to wrap myself around. How can the NYC Experience be in Atlanta anyways? And I'm looking at the founders here, the ones who put this thing together, and find myself the 4th of 4 in that situation and learning what is really here for us beyond this ticket. I bought a ticket. I'm here right now. And I'm here to be on that team from the front of the room. And what does that even mean to me? And what kind of way can I position myself so that I make a bit difference in the world, and perhaps have even as a secondary characteristic, have the world make a difference for me.
Nice. I love it. When you consider, and the way I look at this is, getting the ticket is probably the easiest part. Absolutely the easiest part. And you talked about getting the ticket, right? And there you are. We made a flyer for you. It is a handsome guy there. You know him? But anyways, I think people think like, I got my ticket, right? Here's my ticket. I got my ticket. Yay, that's it. I put it away. I put it in my wallet. I put it somewhere. It's an itinerary. It's something, and I forget about it. And I think that's a mistake, because this ticket has so much more value than what you give it, because the ticket is the opening to what could become great, because you can make plans accordingly. What day am I going to get there? Who am I going to travel with? What do I have to set aside to be able to take away from? I have to say no to something else to be able to say yes to this. So that's an important fact. Remember that. That's important, because in order to say yes to one thing, you have to say no to others. And that is critical. Now, you've said no to others because you bought the ticket. if you're quiet about it, nobody will know you're going to do this event. But if you let people know that you're coming, what are they going to do? They're going to maybe say, hey, you know what? I want to go too. Thank you for letting me know. So it lets other people know what you're doing because they value who you are. So all of a sudden, you may help other people make a decision they were on the fence about. The other aspect of it is that you may be going to a town like a Georgia, Atlanta, and you may go, wait a minute, I have friends there, or I just met somebody and maybe it was on a Zoom call or something like that, and now I'm going to get to see them in person because maybe they live there. So it's setting yourself up for success instead of putting it to the side. So I suggest beyond the ticket is the actions you take once you've made your purchase.
If I had
Every purchase
oh,
should
sorry.
have something of value. Go for it.
That was a long pause. I thought you were done. But that's an art of speaking, Sifu. The pause. What a powerful
Yes.
way to end that. But
Absolutely.
I was just gonna say that, yeah, you made some excellent points when it comes to the preparation piece. Also, I would just kind of elaborate there and say that it's also about asking yourself the right questions, right, prior to the event, because a lot of times we don't spend time with ourselves to ask ourselves the right questions, right? And when you ask yourself the right questions, you can prepare properly and show up in the right way. A lot of us go to events and we're hoping that it's going to be a good experience, right? But can I tell you something? Hope is not a plan, right? I've had many mentors in the past. I think 3 or 4 said the same thing in a different way, but hope is not a game plan. You know, you have to actually put a plan together in order for things to come together, right? And anything that falls together falls apart, as John Maxwell says. So you have to go in prepared. Proper prior planning prevents poor performance. So questions like what? Okay, who do I need to meet? That's an important question. Who do I need to meet at this event? What questions do I need answered? You should probably have a list of some questions that have been kind of on your mind, or things you've been battling with, or things that you're struggling with currently, or questions that you thought you knew the answer to that you didn't really know the answer to because after you applied it, it didn't kind of work out the way you thought. So now you have a new question to say, well, this is what I thought and it didn't work. Maybe I need to ask this question, right? Look at the speaker lineup. The speaker lineup is dripping out little by little for the NYC Mastermind Experience in Atlanta. So what speakers do I need to spend some time with, right? Ask yourself that question. What relationships do I need to build? What collaborations am I looking for? So ask yourself the right questions, because that's going to position you to create the successful event that you're looking for, not hoping that it's going to be okay for you.
And if I may, I want to reflect back on a question that Dr. Fred so eloquently said earlier on in his statement. And he says, what is the New York City Experience actually doing in Atlanta? And the New York City Experience is not a location. It's an actual experience that has frequency and vibrations that are unlike anything that people have experienced before, because there's a great many events that happen. But for those that experience each one of our events, they first of all have gotten better and better. But the reason people come back to it is because it has a specific frequency and vibrational energy that makes people better. It also creates a connection that is very real. And for example, the last one we had in Tampa, there was some incredible connections made that are still there until this day. And because of that, they're coming back to the event. So Dr. Fred, you can expect to meet wonderful people, but connect in a real way. And in those real ways, you'll be able to figure out how this works for you. And then we have things like the meeting after the meeting, which is each time there's an event, there's another event after that. And my suggestion to you is to continue to go to the different events, because as the great Jose says, the more you break down those barriers is the more you get to know the people in a real way. And that's the kind of things we do at the New York City Experience. And this is why it's not a place, but it's an experience. And big shout out to the great Emilio Roman, who's on right now. That's my man. So I just wanted to answer that question for you, Doc.
Well, thank you, man. And thank you for that. I have a couple things I want to say. So number one, you know, it's like, as I look around the three of you and then begin to imagine on the other side of having now obtained a ticket, about what this experience is, it's sort of like, wow, I'm about to get really close with Sifu Raphael. I'm about to get very close with Jose Escobar. I'm about to get very close with Lancelot T. Bob. And it's like, okay, that's very interesting. You know, that's like I'm already throwing myself at that and going, what is that going to be like? And so in what Jose is talking about, I'm already sort of thinking that I already know what it's going to be like a little bit to get to know either of the three of you or anyone else that I get to meet while I'm in Atlanta. And I really don't know. And so I'm noticing sort of a third section. There's the ticket. There's hope is not a plan. But then there's also plan is not an action. And there's something about really actually implementing on the other side of plan. There's like right now we're in okay, I'm on the other side of the ticket. I get to now like imagine and create that which is in front of me, at least in my head, at least in my imagination. But it's not even an event until it actually is an action that takes place on the other side of it. So there's hope and then plan and then action. And what we got right here is an opportunity to create not only interactions amongst the people who are leading from the front of the room and the people we get to actually meet and interface with in Atlanta, but there's this reality that once there and once actually dancing the dance and walking the walk and going to the meeting and the meeting after the meeting, that's once there, once actually walking through all that, that's when I get to be on the other side of the ticket.
There you go. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Yes.
Well, I guess I'll chime in there. And you made some really powerful points, Dr. Fred, and I agree. And yes, there will be relationships built. We already know each other, but knowing each other and having a powerful relationship are two different things, right? So we are building the relationship together, you and I, Dr. Fred, in the last couple of months and with everybody else here. But when you meet in person and you get to hug and shake hands and you get to experience the energy within that 2-foot radius, like it just changes the entire thing, and you feel like you really know each other and you feel more connected, and you go out of your way to support people in a way that's special and unique because it's no longer a virtual experience, it's an in-person experience. So as I was talking about earlier, to keep going with what I was saying about the research and the planning prior to showing up, as Sifu was just scrolling the speakers and the attendees, ask yourself, these speakers, who are these speakers? Do I know them? Do I not know them? Maybe you should study them. Find out who these speakers are. The attendees, the people who said, I'm stepping into the room, that didn't say they're speaking, but they're stepping into the room. That means they bought a ticket, they're not necessarily speaking, but they're going to be there. Research them, right? If you see sponsors, you see any mention of sponsors, what do they do, right? These are things that are important for you to kind of know prior to the room. So imagine walking into the room and already knowing, you already know the names of the people in the room, the companies that are going to be represented, the industries that are there, the mutual connections that you already have. This kind of planning changes everything. By the time you show up, you are prepared, right? It's like showing up to an interview. If you're going to show up to an interview with a large corporation, let's just say a Fortune 500 company, you're not going to show up not knowing the CEO's name and not knowing what they're about and their mission and purpose and a bit about their products and service. You're going to do the research. You're going to know. And then when you step in, guess what? You step in confidently. And your results are so ready for you to get hired because they're like, oh, this person took the time. This person took the extra energy to do the research to figure things out. So when you step into a room and you're like, oh, you must be so-and-so that does XYZ, is that correct? Oh my gosh, guess what? You just separated yourself from everybody else in the room. And you're like, oh my gosh, you know what? I saw your business online. You operate around on the East Coast primarily, right? With what you're doing. Oh yeah, how'd you? Oh no, I took the time to do some research, and I'm just really impressed with what you're doing. That's pretty. Like now you're in the front driver's seat, right? You're not in a stretch limousine all the way in the back. You're now in the passenger seat with the driver, and they actually care to have a conversation with you because you have separated yourself. And these are the little details that can go a long way that make all the difference.
Excellent, by the way, Jose. It reminds me, I'm an actor, Dr. Fred, and that's one of the things that they emphasize as being an artist is doing your preparation. And it's what proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. And what you're saying is so apropos to anything that you do. Prepare yourself in life as an actor going into this event. It's about doing the preparation and doing the work so that when you walk into that room, not only are you walking in with confidence, you're walking in with knowing exactly what you're trying to get out of that room, which is so important. But again, so relevant to everything that you do. Prepare yourself. This is like getting ready for a football game or getting ready for a role. It's the same exact thing. You're getting ready for this event. And it's once you purchase, and it goes back to what the original topic of the day. What happens after you purchase that ticket? So that was a brilliant synopsis on what you actually do after the event. I mean, after the purchasing the ticket, excuse me.
Well, let's consider one thing that's happening, and you brought it up beautifully, all of you. How many events have you been to that they do a show about before the event happens? Probably zero. Jose, have you ever been to an event where you get to know who the people are because they're being presented to you on a show like this? Or even where you can actually go and do the research? Sometimes they just show you a picture of somebody, but you don't know who the attendees are. But you see, what we do differently here at the New York City Mastermind Experience is before any event, we bring the guests on, like Dr. Fred, who's actually going to be on our stage speaking, impacting the audience in a great way. And so many of our speakers will be doing the same thing. And so we bring them on the show so you can get a head start as to who they are, right? And consider we do that even for some of the guests. They may not be a speaker, but they may just be a guest. But usually most of our guests, they're not just somebody who doesn't even have a job or a career or they're not a coach or anything of that nature. They have a lot of value. Maybe they're not a speaker, but they're coming to it because they see the value of being in the room, because they are there to make connections, to impact their business. They're not going there necessarily to see how many clients I can get. It's more of how many connections can I make, because connections really equal value when you do them right. So the reason we do this show is to help everybody understand the value that you will get once you come to the event. But building up to it, right? Our show is every Tuesday morning, but our event, the next one, is in Atlanta, and it's September 25th through the 27th. Now, I'm going to get there early and I'm going to leave late, right? Because that's what winners do, right? And somebody said to me the other day, actually, it is Matt. And if you don't know Matt, man, do you need to learn, you need to get to know Matt. Now you say, well, how do I find out about Matt? Easy. Go to my website, cforraphael.com, or better yet, go to my Facebook, C for Raphael, right? Because there you'll see all the different posts of everybody who's coming and have a little blurb on them. So you get an idea, right? You can make a comment like, hey, Matt, I'd love to meet you in Atlanta. So all of these tiny little things that we're doing is helping you prepare for success at the show. But then we also go further, right? We went beyond the ticket, but also we go beyond the event. Because what do you do after the event? You do follow-up, you do calls, you do all these things. You stay connected. And that's the critical part.
Good stuff.
You know, this idea of preparation. I also have been to a number of events, and maybe certainly without the same level of gravitas that this event is unfolding in front of my very eyes. And I really get from what Jose is saying that what preparation allows for. So the idea of doing a little bit of research with who's there and why are they there and what are they doing and what are we looking for. There's this idea that if I check off those boxes before somehow realizing that I can do some things that move me into the room long before I get there. I can do some things that actually set me up to meet people without having to bumble and stumble and tumble and fumble into the room, which is how, there's a way to do that. You don't have to prepare. If you don't prepare, then you spend all of your time actually rolling around in the snow trying to figure out who this person is. And that's what you do instead of actually being able to check off those boxes. Like, I already know enough about you to actually land in, several levels forward than the time I would have spent to get to know you during this precious time of our meeting. And in that process, I get an opportunity to truly be there with the person, having taken care of the business that could have been taken care of before I got there. And by taking advantage of taking care of that business to learn who's there and why they're there and what kind of impact can be made, I leave myself then open to get myself out of the way and actually be there to learn who is it that I'm meeting. I'm very, very excited about that.
Yes, well said.
Excellent. Yeah, so I guess continuing to carry this conversation beyond the ticket, right? I love this title. It almost reminds me of Beyond the Mat. If anybody's ever seen Beyond the Mat, it's like a professional wrestling documentary. So you get to see the behind the scenes of Jake the Snake Roberts and Ric Flair and kind of their regular day-to-day lives of how the mat, the wrestling mat, the professional wrestling mat impacts their day-to-day lives, right? And you don't see the behind the scenes. You just see that, they're getting hit with steel chairs and they're traveling all the time on the road. So beyond the mat, or beyond the ticket in this case, is, I think, a powerful topic. So I'm going to share something here that a lot of people don't consider. And this is something that I consider in every event that I go to. Now, anybody who knows me and knows my event going ways, they know that I always get ROI from events all the time. Like, it's very rare that I go to an event and I don't get return on investment, meaning like I get clients and things from events. And then I say not just clients, but a lot of different opportunities. Now, this is the thing. You have to set your ROI goals before you show up to the event. Now, how many people set ROI goals? How about very few? Like, if we were to ask a hand and the hand that's raised is attached to a lie detector, and we have like all these entrepreneurs, let's say 100 entrepreneurs that attend events, and you ask them, how many of you set ROI goals? And there's a lie detector attached to it. I promise you it would be like 1/10 of the room will actually raise their hand. I would promise you that, or less, right? Because setting ROI goals is a thing. And a mentor of mine taught me this back in the Amway days, right? When I was 18 and I was at Amway. So you don't just attend events, you got to measure the return, right? Because you're going to an event. Why? Because you want to get some kind of return in some way in your business. And yes, monetary returns is just one component. It's also knowledge, it's also relationships, it's also experience, it's also traveling, it's all these things that come with it. So those are all wonderful things you get from the event. But when it comes to the tangible pieces, right? So I'll give you some examples. Well, if I go to this NYC Mastermind Experience in Atlanta, I want to walk away with at least 10 meaningful conversations. meaning I have a number in my mind. I want to have 10 meaningful conversations. And a meaningful conversation is not a pleasantries of how are you doing? How's the weather? Oh, is that your football team? Oh, that's pretty awesome. You know, what do you do? Oh, cool. That's nice. This is what I do. And then a short, like 5-10 minute conversation. That's not a meaningful conversation. That's an interaction, right? I'm talking about 10 meaningful conversations. That means you actually have to spend some time with 10 people more intimately, right? So, and that's important because that's how relationships are established, by building a rapport, by having a back and forth and showing genuine interest and intentional listening, right? Active listening is a huge thing. So, and then of course, 5 follow-up meetings. I want to walk away with at least 5 follow-up meetings from this event, right? Where I'm actually going to have a virtual coffee with a follow-up, and it doesn't have to be 5. I'm giving you some examples, right? You can do whatever number is meaningful to you. But these numbers are gauged with how many people are going to be in the room. So you should always ask the host or one of the hosts, hey, how many people are you expecting? How many speakers are you going to have? How many sponsors? So now you have a gauge of how you can measure the numbers in terms of the goals you're setting for your ROI. Collaborations. Do you want some collaborations? I know I do. How many collaborations are you looking for? Maybe I'm going to find 3. I want to walk away with 3 collaborations. So as I'm talking and having these meaningful conversations, I'm going to walk away with, as soon as I hear somebody who has good synergy, who has good rapport, we get along, there's a commonality and common values, and we're on a similar mission, and we might even be in similar industries, and we say, oh, this is a collaboration in the making. So you want to have at least 3 collaborations. For example, I want to walk away with 1 mentor, somebody who can pour into me that's not going to be my official coach that I hired. They're just going to pour into me because we got along and there's rapport there. And they see the value in me and I see the value in them, and they're willing to give me some advice from time to time. And I can say, hey, do you mind if I check in with you on a mentorship kind of level every like quarter of the year, or like maybe once a month? Is that okay? So I may be getting a mentor, a client. Okay, how many clients do you want? So let's just say I want 1. I want to walk away with 1 solid client, because 1 solid client for me is $5,000. So that's going to be good enough for me to get my money back. Or do you want 5? Or do you want 3? A strategic partnership. How many of those do you want? So you see what I'm saying? You got to know the buckets of what you're looking for, and you got to know the numbers of what you want. So when you go in, again, success is a planned event, and that doesn't happen by happenstance. It happens by proper planning in advance.
Mm.
Let me share something with you guys. Take a look.
We are here in Tampa, Florida for the NYC Mastermind Experience. It was an absolutely epic weekend.
This was our 5th one, the 6th one.
Coming up in Hotlanta, that's right, Atlanta, Georgia, and our host, the great T.O. Clay.
Hey, you don't want to miss it. Come September, the new Hollywood of the South, ATL, baby. Make sure from NY to Tampa to Atlanta, Georgia. Can't wait to see you there. Peace.
Light up the city, every rise tonight. Every speaker bring it down in that fire, that light. No funny, no fear, just truth on the mic. It's the NYC life, we unite, light up.
That's it. Come join us. And consider the fact that one of the things that we have going on right now is we have tickets at the lowest possible price. And I love that. Jose, you brought this up a couple of weeks ago, where you said if you wait, you're going to pay the procrastination price, because the prices are going to go up. So a lot of people have reached out to me and say, hey, I'm coming. And I'm like, okay, I almost believe you. Almost. Because the ticket hasn't come through. So there's a lot of people who want to be in the room. And that's okay if you want to wait, but you may have to pay more. So what I would suggest is to, and a lot of people who said to us, even in Tampa, I'm coming, haven't bought their ticket. And what winds up happening is when we make a promise, we have to do something about it. And listen, it's not going to hurt me if you don't come, but will it hurt you if you don't? Will you be able to make the connections and keep the connections you already started, to continue to build on, because that's one of the things we do at these events. We continue to build on the connections that we've made along the way. Jose and I continue to build our relationship. Lancelot and I continue to build our relationship. Everybody who's been to our events, Coach Tio and I continue to build on our relationship. And that's because we get to see each other more often. It's almost like, think of being in a relationship with your spouse or your partner, and you only see him once a year. That's going to be a strain on your relationship, isn't it? So beyond the ticket is, what are you doing? Are you keeping in touch with the people? How about reaching out to somebody who you may not know and say, hey, I see that you're going to be in Atlanta. Would you like to have a virtual coffee? I want to know, I want to get to know more about you. So when I see you in person, I already have a good idea. There's nothing wrong with reaching out to a person and doing so. What are your thoughts on that, John?
Well, I think sometimes I'm a little guarded. When you said that, if somebody reaches out to me and I don't know who they are, I guess that's the Brooklyn artist in me. Then I'd rather meet you first and then decide whether we're going to have a virtual coffee, as opposed to you just calling up and let's have a virtual coffee. That's just how I operate. And I know sometimes I'm a bit funny when it comes to that. I think after you get in the event and you get a chance to really connect with somebody real and you see who they are individually, then you have the virtual coffee. But just out of the clear blue, that's just not that's just me. I'm saying.
I agree with you, because if a stranger reached out, but if they say, I'm going to be at the event also, if you have time, can we do a 15-minute, right? And if you say, listen, I'm too crazy busy, then I will respond back and say, listen, I'm excited to meet you in person. Can we have a chat when we see each other? So therefore, I don't want to make you uncomfortable, but I did my due diligence of reaching out, because maybe I do want to get to know you.
Right.
Lancelot, I met you for less than 5 minutes, and look at the relationship we've built.
No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. You're right. You're right. I just, I don't want to say I just, because that's like a rebuttal to what you're saying. But so I'm just going to say you're right. You're right.
You're right too.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's really, really important to see that you're both right, that this is not a disagreement by any stretch of imagination. I appreciate Lancelot's honesty here, just candid honesty, that reaching out and actually saying yes to a virtual coffee is something as well. Yesterday I had the opportunity to speak with Jackie, and I asked her shortly before that, had been the morning with a new CLA member, Philip, and in the afternoon for lunch, I went to an actual lunch with Mr. Brick, and we had the best Mexican food I have ever had. That man treated me to the best 3 tacos I had ever tasted, and it was so much fun to be there. But all the event was, really talking from Philip. We only met in the rectangle, and then in Jackie, we were talking about my numbers, like how, how have I done as a beginner, as in my first couple months here at CLA with how many virtual coffees have I actually accomplished? And then I had an opportunity of really not only planning with Jim to be at lunch with him, but going 30 minutes down the road to this amazing Mexican place and meeting with him, and then creating a conversation that took a couple hours to meet a man who very easily, what an honor it would be to be mentored by one like Jim Britt, and not to mention you three. There's just something beautiful about taking it to the next level. In other words, just having lunch with Jim Britt isn't enough either. If all we're going to do is sit there with 3 tacos in front of us and then swallow it and say that we got to know each other, that's not really true either. There's an opportunity there to share and learn from each other. And now that Jim and I, this is our second official physical meeting, are getting a little bit of a taste of who each other is, the conversation is now moving into new directions. We spent a lot of time, you know, sharing stories and things that we couldn't have done in our first meeting we did yesterday, because we now had a foundation of who each other was. And that's what's possible. Yeah, Angeline, absolutely. I feel very honored to live in the same stratosphere in the same lifetime as Jim Britt, let alone in the same neighborhood where we could go share some tacos. So yeah, it really is a deep honor.
So it would be an honor to have Jim Britt in Atlanta with us. Maybe you can nudge him a little bit.
Oh, we can definitely. Let's. I'll pull him up by his bootstraps. At this point, we are almost on our third meeting. I'm ready to take him by the collar and drag him with me onto that airplane. So
that's it. That's it right there.
By the way, I had a great call with. I think it was yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. I had a great call with a gentleman by the name of Graham Kuhn, who lives in Atlanta, who is very interested in joining us in Atlanta. So. Just a matter of having that next conversation. But yeah, great guy. He's right there in the heart of Atlanta, maybe 15 minutes from the downtown where the event's going to be. So that's exciting. And yeah, I just love this whole idea of connections, right? Like what you just said, Dr. Fred, is powerful because it started with the virtual and and you realize you're both in the same community. So you have a sense of relief. Okay, Jose already did all the heavy lifting to make sure this is somebody I should be meeting, because, you know, they wouldn't be in the CLA if they weren't. And then you decided to go and say, hey, let's meet in person. You met in person. Now you met a second time. And it's just that this is the power of building relationships. This is the power of getting into the right rooms. This is the power of understanding that together we can achieve more. Right. It's all about building those relationships long term. And anyway, so going back to, I guess, our original topic beyond the ticket, there's something else I want to kind of dive into here as well as we're continuing this dialogue. I'm just looking at the time. Okay, good. So, and that is that a lot of us, when we go to events, and I include myself, and I've had to graduate over time of this thought and this idea, is that we believe that the event starts when the event starts. Like, for example, let's say the event in NYC Mastermind Experience, the schedule says we're starting on a Friday at 9 a.m., for example, right? Just throwing a random number. Let's say 9 a.m. People think the event starts at 9 a.m. on that Friday. The event starts in the hallway. Okay. The event starts in the lobby. It starts over breakfast when you are in the hotel room, in the lobby, before you show up to line up to get your lanyard or to walk into the actual room. Because guess who's in the lobby of that hotel probably? How about some attendees at the event? And that is a great time to do what? To introduce yourself, to say hello, to show people what you're about, to carry yourself with some kind of level of I'm open to conversation. Right? Too many of us are standoffish and we're just in our own little world trying to look down and not talk to anybody. And, you know, we have this like, you know, don't bother me. It's too early right now. I just woke up kind of an attitude. And that's not going to serve you, because that very same person that you are choosing to not say hello to, and you see how they're dressed and you see how you're dressed and you probably recognize them from online or something, and you're just choosing to not say hello yet because the event hasn't started. But let me tell you something, that's going to affect you later in the day, because that person is going to feel your energy. And they're not going to be so excited to connect with you and meet with you because they feel your energy, and energy is a real thing, right? So it starts in the hallway. It starts when you're making the line. It starts when you're before you get to the registration table, right? These are the things when you're getting your coffee. Who else is probably getting coffee right before the event? It's probably another attendee or a speaker or somebody, right? When you're in the elevator with somebody, you're probably both going to the same floor. Right. Right. How about after dinner, when dinner's over and people start getting tired and say, I'm just going to go to my room? How about having a conversation in the lobby or saying, hey, let's go get a drink, or whatever the case is, or walking in the parking lot? I mean, these are the thoughts that we need to consume our brain with, that need to occupy our mind of thinking, how do I show up? And your showing up begins before you even get into the room. And too many of us put on the switch. We turn on the switch once we step into the room. Oh, I have my lanyard in the room, and now I'm going to be this business guy. No, that starts in the elevator, the lobby, in the hallway, in the coffee, in the breakfast, in everything that you do. Because guess what? How you do anything is how you do everything. And if you all of a sudden start to smile and become friendly when you get into that room, that's called fake, if you ask me.
Excellent.
I'd love to get Graham to actually stop thinking about it and just do it, right?
Yeah, Graham.
So, Graham, let's go for it. Listen, the website is going across the bottom is New York, NYC Experience.com. And thank you for putting that up. And we'd love to get Amy in there. And I know she says she's already got on her calendar. She's going to be doing some things with us as well.
Good morning, Amy.
Yes, incredible human being.
Yes.
Consider the fact that everything that has been said so far is about going to our event. But this also applies going to any event. Lancelot and I are going to be flying together to Virginia. We're going to Emilio's event. Jose's going to be there. What are we going to be doing to go to this event? We've already had an idea of some of the people there, because Emilio does a great job also of hosting who's going to be there, what their skills are, if anything, right? How they show up to the event. So we're able to look at all these things. So when we go there, we're going to be able to not only say, I know you from the post, but I want to get to know you personally. So it speaks volumes when you actually make an effort to meet people. And one of the things that we do at our events is if we see somebody by themselves, we don't allow that. We go over and we go, are you okay? Is everything okay? Can we introduce you to somebody? Because some people, don't get me wrong, they'll show up, yet they don't know how to handle an event. Maybe they're an introvert. Maybe this is their first event. It's okay. Just look for us. We will make sure to help you out. And so beyond the ticket is also looking out to the event coordinators, like the three of us, and Coach Tio, who's not with us today. But reach out to us and say, hey, how can I participate more in this event? We'd be more than happy to help you guys. So don't feel like if this is your first event or you've never been to an event like this, how do I fit in? Just ask us. We'll help you. We'll help you understand that we're going to move some chairs and tables. So we want you to be invested in your future. So buying the ticket is your first investment. Is like buying pardon my lack of brain function at the moment, but an investment, right? Buying a stock and just putting it away and saying it eventually it'll make money. But meanwhile, you missed on the opportunity to maybe upsell, downsell, and move your stocks around a little bit so your portfolio continues to grow. So think of your investment in this ticket as your portfolio. Invest in it, not just monetarily.
And I think we should re-emphasize to those that are listening who may be shy or are not the ones to reach out and be the first to speak, have no fear. In this type of atmosphere, there'll be always somebody out here that will come up to you. We promise you. If not somebody else, we will. There's nobody that'll be sitting around in the corner. That's not how we do things at the New York City Experience. So no worries. If you don't have that capacity to be able to introduce yourself, we will introduce ourselves to you and pull you in as family. And that's one of the other things that is an incredible thing that we do at the New York City Experience. And I noticed that again in Tampa, that there was no one. And then one time Seafood came up to me. He's like, no, go talk to that person over there. I said, I'm getting ready to go over there. I got it. You know, but that's just for those people that are sometimes worried about the fact that they are quiet or unassuming. No worries. You're in a good spot.
I got to piggyback off that, Lancelot, because I remember I was at an event. I'm going to not name the event and not name the person, but I was at an event and I met somebody at this event, and they were kind of tucked away in the corner. and all the action was happening. People are engaging. This is like in between the speakers. Like, a speaker just finished, everybody clapped, and then everybody's kind of like mingling, waiting for the next thing to happen, right? Everybody's mingling. And it's usually about, at this particular event, it was about 10 minutes intermission in between every speaker. So people knew it was time to chat and just hang out, whatever. So I saw this gentleman sitting by himself, kind of in a high stool, high chair, like against a wall, kind of hanging out there, and everybody's chatting, and everybody had one or multiple people to talk to in pockets, right? And I see this gentleman, and the whole morning, because it was like close to noon at this point, the whole morning he was like by himself. He might have said hi to a couple of people that said hi to him, right? So I went over to him and I said, "Hey, so how are you? Nice to see you again," because I've seen him before. And I said, "So how is the event going for you so far?" He's, "Oh, it's all right. I mean, the speakers have been great, but it's okay." And I'm like, "So what are you looking to get out of this event?" And he's like, "Well, I want to hopefully make a new connection and get a client or two." And I said, "How's that working out for you so far?" And he said, "Not so much. I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's still early, but I don't know." So I said to him, but he was very kind of like, kind of an attitude, right? So I said, "Listen," I said, blank, as in the name. I said, "Listen, I came up to you because I want to tell you something, and I want to tell you with the kindest, the purest heart possible, out of love and respect for you, because I want to see you win being in this room." I said, "You're not going to meet a collaboration, a potential business partner, a potential client. You're not going to build rapport with a new friend that could be in business, a lifelong friend in business, or a mentor or a potential coach or anything. You're not going to meet that person sitting here in the corner." I said, "You got to get up and you got to move around. You got to shake hands." And he's like, "Yeah, but it's a little uncomfortable for me." And I could tell he was getting a little clammy. Like he was already getting a little glossy up here, as we were talking about it. He was already getting nervous. We were talking about it. So I said, "Listen, I understand that. But every time you get out of your comfort zone, guess what happens to it? The comfort zone gets bigger. And then you get out of it again. And the longer you hang out outside of your comfort zone, the more it continues to expand. Right? And once expanded, it never goes back to its original dimensions, like a rubber band, right? The law of the rubber band." So I said, "You got to get out there and you got to start, talking to people." And I said, I didn't ask for permission. I said, "Come with me real quick." And he's like, I said, "No, just come on." And then he came with me and I said, "Hey, so-and-so, you need to meet so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. Have you guys met yet?" "No, we haven't." "Oh, you know what? I'm going to walk away now and let you guys have a conversation." And long story short is this person ended up walking away with a few connections, ended up with a client. And that I can almost promise you wouldn't have happened if that person was posted on the wall, and nothing would have changed, because you people usually do more of what they already are, right? They don't really do more of the opposite, right? So anyways, I say all that to say this: when you go into a room, don't hang out in your own pocket. Start interacting with people and give before you ask. Become valuable to people immediately. How? Okay, let me introduce you. "Did you meet so-and-so over there?" This is after you build the rapport. "Did you meet so-and-so over there?" "Oh, you haven't? Come here real quick. Let me introduce you." And you say, "Hey, you need to meet so-and-so. You guys need to know each other. I just met you and I met you, and both of you are amazing. And based on what I learned about both of you, I think you guys should know each other because of this reason." And then boom, you set them together and you walk away, because now you become the valuable asset for them. Share resources. "Hey, have you thought about this tool? I know you're talking about productivity and this and this and this. Have you thought about this tool? There's a new app that just came out, or there's a new prompt in AI that you should be considering." Or, "Hey, you know what? Recommend a book. I just read this amazing book that I think you should read, and it's this and this and this." You can get on Amazon and maybe open a door for them in terms of a new opportunity, right? Encourage them, pour into them, right? Give them, say, "Hey, you're so well dressed. Oh my gosh, you're so sharp. You know what? I really appreciate it." Like, make them feel good, because guess what? Your generosity and your giving before you ask, that is what makes you memorable to people.
Excellent.
Love it.
Big shout out to T.O. and Gabby who just came on. I didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah.
What's going
Absolutely.
on, y'all?
Take a look. We're going to be the venue. Is what Coach Keo put together for us is the Palat, I guess, and it's a tasting room. We're going to cap our event at about 75 people. So once we hit our cap, because it's going to be an intimate setting, it's going to be masterminds. We're going to have speakers. We're going to have masterminds. We're going to have speakers. We're going to have food. We're going to have speakers. We're going to have masterminds. We're going to have meeting after the meeting. Did I mention we're going to have food? Just make sure. So you guys, listen, we have a great lineup of speakers already. We are still looking for a few more. We have a limited amount of availability for speakers. And as I just mentioned, we're probably going to go 75 max for this event, right? Because the goal for us is not huge where you don't get to be intimate with the people. It's an intimate setting where you get to meet the people and you make great connections that can last a lifetime. Emilio said it earlier. He said, Dr. Fred, you're going to make connections that will last a lifetime. And he's absolutely true, because I know I've made them, and I think everybody here has made them as well. It's about being intentional when you get into the room, and it's not about how many business cards can I get. It's not about that, because what do people do with business cards? Flip, they throw them out, they lose them. It's about the connections. Once you make a connection with a person, you get to know who they are. And that's value right there. It drives everything forward.
One of the things I'm noticing that I just want to point to with this conversation with the three of you is, you know, I see Jose being able to like mimic or represent those people who are just sitting in the corner, isolated, looking down. I see Jose doing, I'm like, dude, you don't do that. But I can see him acting like he knows what it's like to sit in the corner and not be able to want to get out there, somehow not be able to reach out and take the action to go meet the person. He knows. And Lancelot already spoke to that too when he gave us that human moment when he talked about sometimes his trepidation or his hesitation in the face of creating a virtual coffee without actually knowing someone. You know, there's like a little bit of a barrier that's naturally there inside of our fears. I like to think that I'm gregarious. I like to think that I'm outgoing. I like to think that I'm a person who says what he means and means what he says and all that. I have a self-reflection that says that. But let me say, there is more than one conference where I too have found myself sitting in the corner waiting for the next thing to happen and not have, you know, being at the effect of the event rather than taking my own agency and my own authorship, my own sovereignty forward, and realizing that if I don't step up, if I don't actually step in, if I don't go sit and meet either that group or that person sitting in the corner, then I'm losing an opportunity for myself and probably robbing that other person of an opportunity for them as well. But until I take that action, I know what it's like to sit in the corner and be afraid, even if I am gregarious. I know what it's like to sit in the corner and, you know, be hesitant to a virtual coffee or its equivalent just because I'm afraid or just because I have some sort of weirdness about what would it be like to actually meet somebody I don't know yet. Which, of course, that's required. The only way you can meet somebody is to meet somebody you don't know yet. And so that's the only way it's going to happen. And it's going to take some action to get that done. So deeply appreciate this exploration.
Yeah, absolutely. Every chance that you get. Can you hear me?
No, I said you were in deep thought. I was waiting for it.
I was. But every chance that we get to be part of the human race, we should take. Even if you're in the supermarket and you see someone who's interesting, speak to them. It'll get you out of your own comfort zone, because you can say, hey, you know what? I love your shoes. I love your jacket. Or, oh my gosh, I love your look. Or the way you treated the cashier was beautiful, you know, something like that, right? But don't just say it just to make conversation because you feel like you have to. Say it because you feel like that person is a special person. And a lot of times we forget that we need to look at people as a special person, because guess what? Everyone is, in my eyes, everyone is beautiful. Everyone's a gift, and we have to look at people that way. And for me, I do. I look at every human being as unique and special. I've met multiple twins. I've even met triplets, quadruplets. Each one is individual. They're unique in their own body, in their own sphere, if you will. And so don't be afraid to start conversations, because those conversations that you do at the supermarket, when you go pick something up at the store, you say something to the cashier, anywhere you go, you make conversation, it will start to automatically flow out of you. So when you come to an event, whether it's our event or any other event, you are okay to speak to someone, and you've gotten comfortable. So it is about being part of the human race. Let somebody know that they're special. Nothing wrong with that.
Love it. Love it.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that. That's powerful advice, powerful thoughts. I have a final thought and 30 seconds on my end. And I had a mentor of mine. I'm going to leave a final thought with a basic teaching that a mentor of mine told me. And he said, have, let's just say, 20 pennies in one pocket, right? These are not pennies, but you get the idea. Have 20 pennies in a pocket. And he said, start your day. This was back when I was in Amway. You know, and Amway is network marketing. So you got to meet new people all the time. And the biggest challenge I found in network marketing for people is their business dies when they got to start talking to strangers, right? They're hot and they're doing really well when they talk to their friends and their family and all that kind of stuff. But once their list is dry and they got to start talking to strangers, that's when people's and network marketing businesses start to tank, because they got to start talking to strangers, right? And I had a hard time in the beginning talking to strangers at events, anywhere. So he said, listen, every time you walk out of your house in the morning, you put 20 pennies in one side of your pocket. And your challenge for the day is to introduce yourself and say hello to 20 strangers throughout your day. And I promise you, if you do that as just a habit, over time, at least 2 or 3 of those conversations and hellos are going to lead to something. They're going to lead to business. So he said, just create the habit of saying hello to people, introducing yourself and being friendly. And every time you do that, you transfer 1 penny from one pocket to the other side into the other pocket. And you don't come home at all under any circumstance until the pennies have been fully transferred to the other side. And if you do this enough times, you're going to start to become that likable person who wants to meet people, and you're going to start to become that. And guess what? I did that and I became that. But that was the best practice that I did. And now I don't have any issues meeting new people because it's just part of who I am.
Nice. I love that idea. That's great. I got to say, listen, for anybody who's interested, this is coming up soon here in New York City. Lancelot and I are doing a meetup July 18th. And it's going to be at the Virgin Hotels on 30th and Broadway in New York City, 4 o'clock till. It's going to be a blast. So if you are in New York or New Jersey or anywhere near, you want to make a trip out, come join us. It's a phenomenal time. The rooftop is beyond
Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Yes.
So going by some instructions, first of all, thank you, gentlemen, for allowing me to be here this morning. And, just a little bit of levity. I think, Jose mentioned earlier a couple of superstars in Jake the Snake and Ric Flair. And now I just heard that the way to Jose's heart is through Art Monk and John Riggins. And there's something really nice about really getting that there's a human being there. I know who those 4 men are. I know enough about those 4 guys to be able to connect with Jose over Monk and Riggins, or over Snake and Flair. And there's something like, okay, there is something there. I get a little bit of information about it, almost like free research on Jose, is that those 4 people mean something to him. And it's okay to be able to actually acknowledge that and be able to know that that's a good icebreaker once me and Jose actually get that hug in Atlanta.
Yeah, love it.
Well, I'm looking forward, to meeting all those who take the time to get that ticket and then understand the gravity of what you do after that ticket. So we'll be in Atlanta and looking forward to meeting new people and creating and forging new connections and relationships, because that's what the New York City Mastermind Experience is all about. Big shout out to my man T.O. Clay, who is forefront and the head of the Atlanta Experience. Looking forward to seeing you again, my friend. Big shout out to Gabby as well.
Everybody have a blessed day, and we will see you next Tuesday. And do yourself a ticket. Don't pay the procrastination tax. Get your ticket today. See you guys next week.
Take care, Doc. Jose.
All right,
have a great day, man.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, sir.
Everyone who's in the room is all about giving. Everyone who show up here and who are in the room are just givers, and they just want everyone to become better and better entrepreneurs, better founders, better coaches, better givers. You are going to meet the best of the best in this room, and it's an intimate experience, right? Sometimes you go to events where there are hundreds or thousands of people, and here in the New York City Mastermind, it's an intimate experience. So you really get to know them. You get to know them as people and not as just a number that's out there. So I highly recommend New York City Mastermind to anyone.